Well, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests, welcome back. Fantastic to have you all here. Welcome to this MTR plenary session in which we'll look to the future and we'll consider the role of the Alliance as that 2030 deadline to achieve the SDGs approaches. Now, while the imperative to immunize the next 1 billion children remains, countries have already immunized 1 billion children and saved 17 million lives with Gavi support. That really is fantastic. What numbers. Now, this, of course, has been achieved through multiple crises at a country and global level, with, of course, that recent pandemic still so fresh in our minds, the worst pandemic in 100 years. And as we look to the future, we see, sadly, new challenges looming, social, economic, geopolitical, and environmental, all interlinked. And yet we are resolved to immunize the next billion. That is a fantastic target. And here today we'll hear from the chair of the Gavi Board, heads of state, ministers of health, and esteemed panelists on what they see as the challenges ahead and what's needed to overcome them. And first, I'll turn to the host of this session, Professor José Manuel Barroso, Chair of the Gavi Board and former President of the European Commission, for his introductory remarks. And Professor Barroso will also be introducing the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, from whom we'll hear a video message. Professor Barroso, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Maria. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, thank you all for joining us today as we look to the future, to build on invaluable lessons we have learned from Gavi's experience and the advancing deadline to reach the Sustainable Development Goal by 2030. First, I'd like to extend my heartfelt commendation to the implementing countries of Gavi for their unwavering perseverance and resilience in delivering essential immunization programs in the face of adversity and crisis. Gavi's remarkable achievements over the past 23 years, with the generous support of donors and partners, have protected more than 1 billion children from life-threatening and preventable diseases. As you said, what a great figure it is, and how proud we should be of that. Through our collective efforts, we have achieved significant milestones, including halving child mortality in lower-income countries, resulting in the lowest under 5 child mortality rates ever recorded. However, our work is far from complete. As we recover from the effects of this terrible pandemic, the need to continue to build equitable access to immunization comes into stark view. Those unable to access immunization are those most likely to be at the epicenter of deadly epidemics and pandemics of infectious diseases. These challenges are exacerbated by macroeconomic challenges, by fiscal instability facing many Gavi-supported countries, as well as the global economy. And now we are also having other problems like geopolitical frictions that are in fact putting some stress on the multilateral system and on the quality of international cooperation. And we have, of course, the very structural problem of climate change. So we have, in fact, many crises that are making our work more difficult. But we should not forget our goal, and we should really concentrate and focus on that goal. With these mounting challenges, such as public debt, climate change, conflict, food insecurity, an increasing number of people, currently 155 million, are residing in these settings, most vulnerable. Gavi is actively working in fragile countries across the Sahel and EMRO regions, bringing immunization services to some of the world's toughest locations. Through initiatives like the Zero-Dose Immunization Program, with a $100 million investment in 11 countries across the Sahel and Horn of Africa, we collaborate with humanitarian partners and civil society organizations to reach more populations. These challenges underline the need to be clear on what we have and can achieve together by immunizing the next 1 billion children contributing to multiple SDGs, and bolstering economic development. In the face of these challenges, it is crucial that we strengthen our support for global health initiatives, including immunization programs. I believe that that's the basic lesson to draw from the pandemic. And that's, I hope, that the leaders at global level put a lot more political investment in global health and also global health security. Gavi's innovative model, which generates domestic resources and mobilizes both the public and private sectors, has been instrumental in our achievements so far. Now, more than ever, we need to ensure strengthens political and financial will to accelerate progress on global immunization towards 2030. As I usually say, if it's not now, when? If it is not after this terrible pandemic that we understand the urgency of the priority of these global health issues, when will we do it? It's very important to, let me be a little bit undiplomatic, to fight what sometimes is attention deficit disorder of some policymakers, because they focus on the issue when the issue is quite evident, but afterwards there is other political pressure and there is less focus on issues that are very structural and very, very important to deal with. So in conclusion, let us work together to ensure that everyone has access to life-saving immunization. Now, it is my honor, as already mentioned, to introduce a video message from the esteemed Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Her Excellency Ms. Sheikh Hasina, to hear about the inspiring progress in her country, as well as challenges ahead. Under her leadership, Bangladesh has made remarkable progress in immunization and child health. She has been an extraordinary leader that increased the national immunization program's profile in Bangladesh, which has been recognized as Gavi's Vaccine Hero in 2019. She has been fully engaged, launching every major immunization campaign, which set Bangladesh apart as a high-performing country on the global stage, bringing Bangladesh closer to achieve the SDGs. So we are very proud, not only to have this very distinguished panel, my colleagues there, but also to have the video now coming from Sheikh Hasina from Bangladesh. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Excellencies, distinguished participants, I thank the government of Spain and Gavi for organizing this Global Vaccine Impact Conference. Immunization is a great gift for our children. We must work together to make sure that all children around the world are immune from deadly communicable diseases. I support the conference's aim to raise a generation ImmUnity. The partnership between Bangladesh and Gavi started in 2001. We have expanded our basic immunization coverage to 98%. Bangladesh has made excellent use of Gavi's support for rolling out vaccines and strengthening the health system. Around 80% of this amount has funded new vaccine against measles, polio, and pneumonia. We have a trained workforce to administer vaccines. Bangladesh observes National Immunization Day every year. Our government updated the national immunization policy with a focus on equity and social justice. With Gavi's support, we have now introduced HPV vaccines to fight against cervical cancers. We have done pioneering work on cholera vaccines and have taken our experiences to other countries. During COVID-19, I called for recognizing pandemic vaccines as global public goods. I hope the new international pandemic treaty will reflect that call. Our government is supporting the local pharmaceuticals industries to develop and produce effective pandemic vaccines at an affordable price. We stand ready to partner with Gavi on innovation in immunization. I recall Gavi's support for vaccinating the children of the forcibly displaced Rohingya from Myanmar, now sheltered in Bangladesh. We feel proud that Bangladesh received Gavi Alliance Award in 2009 and 2012. I consider it an honor to have been recognized as Gavi's Vaccine Hero in 2019. My life's mission is to make our country safe, resilient, and prosperous for our next generation. I hope Gavi will continue to support us in saving our children from vaccine-preventable diseases. I wish the conference a grand success. I thank you all again.
What a fantastic start there from a video message there from Her Excellency, the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Her Excellency Sheikh Hasina, and also we just heard from Professor Barroso. We have another special video, but I just want to firstly just thank Professor Barroso before I introduce our esteemed panel. We will get to our panel and just say thank you so much, Professor, for your comments there. It is great to hear these insights and to see your continued support for the Alliance and building on the lessons learned. The Alliance is now looking to renewal and to build resilience against future challenges. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to hear from France shortly in a video message, but first I would just want to show you our distinguished panel that we have here today. And right next to me, I'm joined by the Honourable Dr. Kehelia Rambukwela, Minister of Health of Sri Lanka. Fantastic to have you here, ladies and gentlemen. Please join me in welcoming him. Her Excellency Ms. Bjork Sandko, we were here yesterday together, Deputy Minister for Development Cooperation from Norway. Welcome to you. Professor José Manuel Barroso, we have heard from, who has kicked off our conference, but again, why not? Welcome to Professor once again. And from Rwanda, we have His Excellency Dr. Sabin Nsanzimana, Minister of Health from Rwanda, who was just on the HPV panel, and you're back here on stage again. Thank you for a second round. And from Saudi Arabia, we have His Excellency Dr. Abdullah bin Abdulaziz Al Rabia, Supervisor General bin Salman Humanitarian Aid and Relief Center from Saudi Arabia. Ahlan wa sahlan. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our distinguished panel. We'll be hearing from them shortly. But first, let's go to France, and we will hear a video now from Her Excellency Dr. Chrysoula Zakarapoulou, Minister of State for Development, Francophonie and International Partnerships, France. She was not able to attend in person, but has sent us this special video.
Madame la Première Ministre, Mesdames et Messieurs les Ministres, Messieurs les Directeurs Exécutifs d'IRCET, Messieurs le Président du Conseil d'Administration, Sir José Manuel, Mesdames et Messieurs, je suis très heureuse de prendre la parole devant vous aujourd'hui alors que nous faisons le bilan de 2 années et demie marquées par une crise sanitaire sans précédent et que nous regardons maintenant vers l'avenir. C'est même avec une certaine émotion que je retrouve une famille que j'ai tant aimé côtoyer durant l'aventure COVAX. Et je tiens à m'excuser qu'une obligation nationale me retienne à Paris aujourd'hui, car j'aurais tant aimé vous retrouver. Tout d'abord, nous devons nous féliciter, parce que même s'ils ont été durement éprouvés par la pandémie de Covid-19, les systèmes de santé ont aussi résisté, et c'est une formidable victoire collective. Face à des défis impensables, nous avons réussi l'impossible. Tout d'abord, le développement en temps record de vaccins ARN messagers. Et en plus, la démonstration de solidarité du mécanisme COVAX et de l'AMC qui a permis de faire du vaccin un bien public mondial. La France, par l'engagement du président de la République Emmanuel Macron, a répondu présent dès les premiers jours. Nous avons soutenu COVAX à l'auteur de 300 millions d'euros, en plus de sa contribution de 55 millions d'euros au programme Cœur de Gavi. Nous avons aussi été le premier pays à donner des doses aux pays AMC. En lien avec l'action de l'équipe Europe, la France a ainsi mis à disposition plus de 120 millions de doses. Pour autant, nous devons en faire plus en matière d'équité vaccinale si nous voulons atteindre les objectifs de l'agenda 2030. La France est convaincue que l'équité passe avant tout par une refonte de l'approche de prévention, préparation et riposte aux pandémies. La valeur ajoutée de Gavi réside dans la relance des programmes d'immunisation de routine, comme la vaccination contre le papillomavirus et contre la poliomyélite. Bien sûr, un autre domaine où Gavi a une valeur ajoutée considérable est le soutien au développement des capacités de production régionale de vaccins et de produits de santé. Le Covid nous a bien montré que ce devait être notre grande priorité commune. La France a déjà engagé plus de 300 millions d'euros dans ce domaine, notamment via le Medicine Patent Pool et le programme OMS de transfert de technologies ARN messagères, mais aussi l'initiative Équipe Europe, dite MAV+. Mesdames et Messieurs, pour atteindre tous ces objectifs, l'approche PPR de Gavi doit s'ancrer dans la nouvelle architecture de santé mondiale et s'articuler avec ces différentes initiatives. Par ailleurs, Gavi devra aussi davantage intégrer le défi Une seule santé et son approche PPR. La France est particulièrement active dans ce domaine, comme en témoigne l'initiative PRESOD, qui vise à prévenir l'apparition de futures pandémies grâce à la recherche sur la santé humaine, animale et environnementale. Collectivement, nous devons trouver des solutions concrètes, notamment en termes de financement innovant, pour répondre à ces défis. C'est l'enjeu principal du sommet sur le nouveau pacte financier que le président Emmanuel Macron accueillera à Paris la semaine prochaine, le 22 et le 23 juin. Et j'aurai grand plaisir à y retrouver beaucoup d'entre vous pour approfondir notre engagement commun pour la santé mondiale et planétaire. Alors, je vous souhaite une très belle journée à tous.
Merci beaucoup. That was the Minister of State of France, Zakarapoulou. Thank you so much for that video message. All right, we go from France to Sri Lanka. I want to ask you, Your Excellency, about the challenges your country is facing right now. Given those challenges, given the threats Sri Lanka faces, what are your imperatives right now to ensure immunization coverage rates are high and you have future resilience?
Thank you, Charles. Let me begin by thanking the Spanish government and the Gavi for organizing this midterm review. Understanding where we are helps us determine where we need to go. To answer your question, I first need to thank Gavi for their assistance that began in 2003. Sri Lanka has self-financed its vaccination program since 1995 with a separate budget highlighting the political and fiscal commitment towards procurement. However, the Gavi program that was initiated at no cost truly enabled Sri Lanka to prioritize the national immunization program in the midst of a 30-year terrorist conflict at the time, and for this, as Sri Lankans, we are truly appreciative. Today, the National Immunization Program of Sri Lanka has been successful in achieving sustainable control of childhood diseases, including the elimination of polio, rubella, congenital rubella syndrome, and measles through the delivery of 11 vaccines against diseases known to cause significant mortality and morbidity in children and in adults. Despite the interruption due to COVID-19, Sri Lanka managed to sustain the vaccination coverage at 95% of all vaccines due to the following: well-established primary care service delivery system, comprehensively trained primary healthcare workers, the presence of educated men and women who are highly trained in the benefits of preventive care, proven political commitment as the country maintained its immunization coverage well after it graduated as a Gavi country. The current financial crisis in the country is anticipated to create a hurdle in procuring vaccines in the future. To combat this, the Ministry of Health is exploring avenues of alternative funding to ensure uninterrupted vaccination procurement and delivery to target groups. The average annual budget for this procurement for vaccination is around $6 million.
Thank you so much, Minister. Excellent. Now, it really is encouraging to see what Sri Lanka has done amidst such challenging circumstances. Now, in 60 seconds, how would you describe the challenges ahead to 2030 and beyond? 60 seconds.
Well, okay. Sorry. I believe it is a combination of all the factors I mentioned before, but if I have to choose one, I would say it is community-based networking. Mm-hmm. Sri Lanka's constructive and powerful immunization coverage rate is greatly owed to national-wide network of 4,000 country-based healthcare workers. With the penetration of approximately one health worker to every 5,000 citizens, we have a robust system that ensures healthcare worker-citizen diffusion. They conduct regular door-to-door visits, usually by bike or a scooter, and we also always up to date on their ward's state of health. The health workers hold regular outreach clinics, raising awareness of antenatal care, immunization, and maternal and child health, including the registration of every newborn child. If a mother or a father fails to bring their child to the vaccination session, the health worker visits their home and, in some cases, personally accompanies the child to the clinic for immunization. And these are the challenges that we have overcome. And then, as of now, there is an economic turndown, which we are managing. And we have done extremely well. We are proud to announce that in terms of all communicable diseases, we have reached acceptable rates of success. Right now, what happens is with the economic turndown, we may need some assistance, which we are looking at. And I'm sure that this forum will assist us, and this forum will always look at positively with our request of so. Thank you so much. I hope I kept it within a minute.
Fantastic, yeah. Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. Thank you. Now, let's go to Norway, and I want to ask you this, Your Excellency. You know, Norway is, of course, a leader in global health and a champion for multilateralism. And we've seen this, of course, in your support for the Gavi Alliance as an original donor. And, of course, COVAX AMC, as well as during the pandemic with Norway's ACTA leadership. And now, of course, we face multi-crises right now. What do you see as the main challenges that we should collectively get prepared for if we are to reach the next generation?
Thank you. I think that is the key question that we need to reflect about. And I don't think I have all the answers, but I'm sure between all the experience in the panel and in the room, we can help think about next steps and make sure that we walk in the right direction. But given that we are here for the midterm review, it is also a good moment to think back and just reflect on the challenges that we have met as an alliance and as a partnership, and the challenges that we have overcome. And you mentioned that Norway was a founding donor to Gavi. Gavi is still the biggest recipient of support from our global health budget. And So I wasn't there at the beginning, so I'm not trying to take credit for it, but those who were, I think, did a lot of things right. And the minister from Sri Lanka also pointed to, all these global initiatives that we have are really there. We need to remember they are there to support countries and communities in realizing the right to health, in making sure people can access services that they need. And the Gavi model, which really rallies partners around supporting countries' own priorities and plans, I think really got it right from the beginning, and then we need to adjust, of course, along the way. And the evaluations and reviews, including the midterm review that we have in front of us, helps us to do that. So moving forward, COVID obviously was a big crisis for all of us, but it also, I think, it demonstrated shared vulnerability, but it also rallied shared responsibility from all of us, governments, but also academia, civil society, industry is an important partner in this as well. Gavi, an important partner in responding very quickly. And I think we need to strengthen that collaboration, learning from lessons from the pandemic between Gavi, important partners such as UNICEF who are here, the World Health Organization who are here. Norway is hosting an initiative called CEPI, which we believe should also be part of this collaboration and strengthen that collaboration in helping to develop new products when we need them, but to make sure that we delineate very clearly who does what, so that we don't duplicate. But the main challenges for us now is we need to get things right at the global level, to share, make sure that we share tasks and have that overview so that we can support countries and communities. We should never forget that. And sometimes in our discussions, we can get the impression that, and I can be guilty myself, that the global level is an end in itself. It is not. The global level and all these initiatives are means to that end of making sure, in our case, that vaccines get into people's arms. So what can we do to push all our efforts really to that down to the community level? We need to remember it. We need to have those discussions at the global level. Norway is engaged together with Kenya in an initiative called the Future of Global Health Initiatives, where we are discussing how can we make sure that we set ourselves up without losing the momentum and all the good lessons and the good work that's happening in alliances such as Gavi, but how can we work even better together to, again, support countries and support communities in realizing the right to health and providing access to services. I think I'll stop there.
Excellent. And Deputy Minister, in 60 seconds, how would you describe your vision to 2030?
2030 is tomorrow. And unfortunately, we are backsliding. In 2015, when we agreed on the Sustainable Development Goals, I think there was good grounds for optimism. Although progress was not being made as quickly as many of us would like, at least most of the arrows and the graphs were pointing in the right direction. Now we are not there, and we're facing multiple crises that other speakers have mentioned, and we need to situate what we do here in that landscape. But it just means that it's incumbent on all of us to really make sure that we act and spend our resources, funding and the capacity as efficiently as possible. And again, that we never lose sight of the community level and who we are here to try to help improve lives for. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I want to move now to Rwanda, and Honourable Minister Sabin, it's incredible that Rwanda has had an impressive immunisation programme with very high routine immunisation coverage, actually among the best rates in the region, and a strong expanded programme on immunisation. And you still maintain strong relationships, of course, with partners and have embraced innovation. And you weathered the COVID-19 pandemic uniquely well. Tell us, what did Rwanda do to improve its healthcare accessibility, and what lessons can other countries adopt to strengthen their own healthcare systems and vaccination coverage up to 2030 and into the future?
Great. Thanks so much. I think being here in this great panel is very important for us as we learn also from experience from other countries. So this morning I was talking about mostly on what we've done in immunization and scale-up from a very tragic history and how we will move into how can we do better to protect more lives. And vaccination is probably the best investment and cost-effective investment that any human being could do in the health sector. And we all believe that. And talking about vaccine, talking about protecting children especially, it's actually exciting. I love slides, and I had actually asked if we can have 2 more slides so that it can be easier to see and maybe keep in our memories. And something that previous panelist, Special Minister of Sri Lanka mentioned is the community aspect. And to me, I would add the trust aspect. And if there is a key word for us that has been our driver into scaling up any program, including immunization, has been the trust, but also equity in access. And this slide shows actually how our healthcare system is structured.
Minister, if I may interrupt very so, we've had a power cut, so those slides won't be shown. Huge apologies, but we can see them here. We can see them, yeah.
All right, okay. Excellent. I could see on my screen, but I didn't see that behind it. It's not coming.
Right, coming.
So this slide for me explains exactly how our healthcare system is structured. And community has been mentioned as a key word, a key factor into access, equity, but also how you deploy any new intervention, new vaccine, and how it goes quickly to the community. And the best of this pyramid, actually, the community health workers at the community levels. In each village, we have 3 to 4 people who are delivering different interventions, including vaccination. And that has been actually something we implemented since early 2000. And it helped to quickly achieve some of these indicators. And the trust aspect I talked about has helped to bring down the service delivery to the community. Currently, 85% of diseases are treated at the community health worker level. And we are aiming to reach actually 95% in the next 4 years. It's a strategy that you don't need to see someone going to a university teaching hospital to get a vaccine. But a community, at the community level, at the health post level, this can be done. And that helps also to build that trust that the neighbor can help the neighbor. And that is part of also our social kind of tissue that has been built over the years. So this one I already mentioned before, probably for those who haven't seen it, is our calendar of immunization, where we have more than 12 antigens that are being delivered in Rwanda. And the impact it brings, already showed this slide before, and for those who came in this session, maybe it's interesting to see that over 96% of children are protected with a full immunization program in Rwanda. And the impact to reduce maternal, infant, and neonatal mortality is huge, and life expectancy reaching 70 actually this year was an interesting move. I have another slide that I haven't shown before. This one, you've already seen it. Probably I move to my last 2 slides that are bringing more exciting...
Minister, if I could just say, if we could move along quickly, because we have 2 big announcements to
two more slides. This is the trend we are seeing from the fact that we are implementing different types of protecting children, managing infectious diseases. We've seen a shift into mortality of these related diseases going down on this blue slide, while the non-communicable diseases are picking up, which is a shift that happened in 2015. And my last point here is that as we invest into disease prevention, we should always be reminded that the role of vaccine is huge because the threats are many. As you can see here, they're happening every 30 minutes. Every 30 days period is a huge number of diseases that are emerging across the world. And the cost related to not doing it is actually immense. But the cost that we can invest in vaccines and protect the next generations is also huge. Probably stop there, but I think the key message here is that investing in vaccine programs, investing in disease protection is actually the best thing we can do for ourselves and the future communities and children to be born. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Excellent to see. Thank you so much. We move now to Saudi Arabia, and Your Excellency, Dr. bin Abdulaziz, if you can tell us how you plan to keep that momentum going in Saudi Arabia that you've shown with regards to immunization, and if you could keep your answer as brief as possible, because we have two very big announcements to fit in.
Well, I'll try to be brief. Thank you for the introduction. Well, let me tell you that Saudi Arabia is one of the top countries when it comes to vaccinations. We have been ranking in the top 5. Saudi Arabia is actually supportive to Gavi and Alliance and also all the initiatives that have been created during COVID-19. We have been one of the first countries who supported the COVAX facility and also supported countries in need during the pandemic. We have invested more than $863 million, and also together with Gavi, we have supported the health systems with the help of my friend Seth Berkley and others. We have been actually doing our best to improve the health system in many countries in Africa and Asia and beyond. One of the issues that we are looking for the future in Saudi Arabia, which is very important, we believe actually strongly in regionalization of vaccine industry and also regionalization of humanitarian hubs. That's why Saudi Arabia is now moving to have a vaccination industry on the Red Sea and also a humanitarian logistic hub on the Red Sea, which together with the help of WHO and Gavi and others, we will be able to reach countries in need. Our challenges that has happened in COVID should be a learning lessons for us. We have challenges of funding, we have challenges of also legislation, public awareness, also anti-vaccine activists. And there is a big duty on all of us together to work together, to put our hands together and make vaccine, number one, accessible, available, and also every child in 2030 will be actually immune and all of us are protected so that we live in a world which is safe and there is free access to health.
Fantastic. Shukran jazilan. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. All right. We have time now for those very special announcements. I have 2 of them. The first, right now, I would like to announce, invite to the stage the Honourable Antonio Tajani, Vice President of the Council of Ministers and Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Italy, is represented here today by Mr. Marco Giungi, Director for Strategy, Multilateral Global Processes for Development, Cooperation, Italy. I invite Mr. Marco Giungi to the stage. Welcome.
Thank you. Honorable Ministers, Excellencies, Chair of the Gavi Board, President Barroso, CEO of Gavi, Dr. Berkley, ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor to read the message by the Vice President of the Council of Ministers of the Republic of Italy and Minister of Foreign Affairs, Antonio Tajani, to the Global Vaccine Impact Conference. I would like to thank the Minister of Foreign Affairs, European Union and Cooperation of Spain, José Manuel Álvarez Bueno, the Chair of the Gavi Board, José Manuel Barroso, and the CEO of Gavi, Seth Berkley, for organizing the conference to review Gavi's progress towards the objectives set for 2021-2025. We count on Spain's forthcoming presidency of the Council of the European Union to take up those efforts in the field of immunization. Health is a basic right and a cornerstone for global economic development and stability. Health and economic growth are inextricably intertwined. A healthy population is a precondition for sustainable development and a thriving economy. In turn, a strong economy is necessary to generate resources for efficient health systems. Investing in health is strategic to achieve economic objectives. Italy has been committed to supporting Gavi, also through innovative finance mechanisms such as the International Finance Facility for Immunization, and through the Pandemic Fund for Prevention, Preparedness and Response. During our G7 presidency next year, we will work in continuity with the efforts by partners, highlighting the fruitful bond between finance and health in shaping sustainable growth and prosperous societies. In this framework, initiatives to foster resilient health systems as well as equitable access to diagnostics, therapeutics and vaccines, and to promoting economic growth in Africa are strategic priorities for Italy. Cooperation with Gavi in and with Africa can boost our common endeavors based on equal and egalitarian partnerships with African countries. This is in line with Italy's commitment to devise a comprehensive strategic plan, which we call Piano Mattei, to foster growth in Africa through investments, joint projects, and initiatives for mutual benefit. Thank you for your attention and my best wishes for a very successful conference. Antonio Tajani. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Marco Giungi. Okay, our second announcement now will be by His Excellency Mr. Park Yin, Minister of Foreign Affairs from the Republic of Korea, represented by His Excellency Mr. Bang Sang-hoon, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary to the Kingdom of Spain, Republic of Korea. I now invite His Excellency Ambassador Extraordinary to the stage. Bienvenido.
Thank you, Maria. Ministers, Excellencies, Professor José Manuel Barroso, the chair of the Gavi Board, distinguished friends and partners of Gavi, and ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of His Excellency Park Jin, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Korea, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the Spanish government and Gavi for hosting this significant meeting here in Madrid. I also wish to take this opportunity to commend the work of Gavi and reassure my government's unswerving support for the alliance and its dedication to the global health security. We stand at a critical juncture in history. In 2019, we met to discuss investment opportunities and to outline the strategic period from 2021 to 2025. Little did we know that shortly thereafter, the world would face an unprecedented global health crisis, the COVID-19 pandemic. Nonetheless, the international community rallied together to combat this common challenge. Among the remarkable initiatives that emerged during these challenging times, COVAX stands out as a multilateral platform for equitable access to COVID-19 vaccines. Through the COVAX AMC, we supported 92 countries, saving millions of lives. Korea actively participated in these global efforts, contributing over $210 million to the COVAX AMC from 2021 to 2022. Our support enabled millions of people to receive immunization and helped strengthen health systems, including the vital supply chain. While we faced some setbacks, it is worth noting that even during the pandemic era, the overall coverage for several Gavi-supported vaccines continued to increase. We commend Gavi for the unwavering dedications to reaching and assisting vulnerable children and marginalized communities. We share Gavi's commitment to leaving no one behind and applaud their tireless efforts to this end. Today, I have the pleasure to announce Korea's renewed commitment to Gavi. My government will contribute $70 million this year in alignment with our previous commitment to $300 million to the Access to COVID-19 Tools Accelerator from 2023 to 2025. My government is convinced that this contribution will greatly help support the ongoing battle against the lingering COVID-19 pandemic. building on the lessons learned, our support will go beyond COVID-19 immunization efforts. It will include strengthening health systems and reinforcing communities' basic capabilities to combat not only the current crisis, but also the future challenges more effectively. Korea's commitment to the international community extends far beyond this financial contribution. As we aspire to become a global pivotal state GPS, dedicated to fostering freedom, peace, and prosperity worldwide, it is our obligation to actively contribute in other areas as well. Demonstrating this commitment, we have increased our official development assistance ODA by 21% this year, and we are determined to scale up our efforts in the coming years. As a long-standing donor to Gavi, the Republic of Korea remains firm in its support for the alliance and will continue to participate in global partnership for health security. Together, let us move ahead, united in our pursuit of a healthier and safer world for all. Thank you very much.
Su Excelencia, muchísimas gracias. Thank you very much indeed. What a fantastic announcement we have had there. And now we're going to have some final reflections. And for that, I'm going to ask Professor José Manuel Barroso to conclude this session, to talk to us about your takeaways and how you see the road to 2030 and beyond.
First of all, thank you, Maria. First of all, let me just have a very sincere and warm word of thanks to Ambassador Park and through him to the government of Korea. Your generosity is really great. And so your additional $70 million commitment, building on what we have already done, we are really extremely grateful. And you are being a great example of leadership in this sector. Thank you very much. I'd like also to thank Italy, my good friend Antonio Tajani, represented here by Mr. Giungi, for its announcement about the commitment that Italy is going to give during the leadership of G7 next year. Specifically, your commitment to Africa. I know how much Italy is committed to that agenda. And I also remember the excellent cooperation we, Gavi, had with Italy during the recent presidency of G20 by Italy. So Italy also playing a very, very important role in these global issues of health. And we had a great panel, and it's a privilege. In fact, it's a privilege to have the opportunity to listen here directly from countries like Bangladesh, Norway, Rwanda, Saudi Arabia, and also the videos we received from Sri Lanka, from France, and now these announcements. And what is there in common? You asked me by takeaway. I would say in common first is the power of vaccines. I mean, without vaccines, we could not do our job in terms of global health. As it was said, vaccine is the most cost-efficient way to support health. It's a duty to namely to the children of the world, to promote this agenda. So the power of vaccines is, I think, my first takeaway. But the second is, vaccines cannot happen without the commitment of donors like Korea and others that are here, Norway, one of the biggest donors as well, Saudi Arabia doing so many things as well. I mean, but also the implementing countries that sometimes facing very important crises have to show their determination and their commitment to this agenda. And the very last word is this one, because it is a word I listen here in the panel, the local, the community. And so how can we, because we are here discussing at a very macro level, but how can we link the global level with the local level? And that reminds me a comment made, a line of the great Russian writer Dostoevsky, when he said, one of his personages in The Brothers Karamazov, he says, "My father loved mankind in general, but hated every individual in particular." So when we speak about mankind, it's not just an abstract category. It's about each man, woman, or children, special children. And this is the point. How can we continue to have the global approach, but at the same time think about the concrete community and the local approach, that in fact what we are doing is saving the life of children. And this, I think, is the key. to put people at the center for our next work until 2030. As you said, it's tomorrow and beyond. Thank you very much for your attention.
You've been a fantastic panel, you've been a fantastic audience, and we've had 2 incredible announcements. Thank you to all of you. Lunch is served in the Florencia room. Que aproveche. Buen apetito. Thank you so much. Muchísimas gracias.